Hi guys, this is Vineet and I welcome you to this video. Today's video topic is encrypted backups in SQL Server. And this is a video with demos, so there would be practicals involved in this video. So before we proceed ahead, what I would request you guys is to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future and upcoming videos, and including the videos that I'm creating these days for business continuity section. And this video is a part of a business continuity series, and I will be releasing more videos soon, so it's very much essential for you guys to subscribe to my channel so that you can get regular updates. Some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept. And if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice or as many times as you like until the concept gets clear to you. Perform any exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please do share in your comments, feedback and suggestions. We eagerly wait for your comments and would love to read the same. I would like to discuss some of the playlists we have created for you to watch. Some of our popular playlists are database design, tables, business continuity, SQL Server indexes, performance tuning, integration services, and transact SQL. And if we talk about this video pertains to the business continuity section, where we are discussing about backup and recovery area. We are making videos in the backup and recovery area. Soon we will make videos on the high availability area as well, so keep an eye. Guys, the links to all these playlists are given in the video description of area of this particular video, and so check out the video description area for this video to find out the links to these playlists. And if we talk about the total number of videos posted on our channel, it's more than 260 videos at present, and the list is growing continuously at constant pace. Apart from that, I have a channel page link which is given at the bottom of this slide. So when you go to this link, I've also included this link in the video description area. So let me show you my channel page quickly. So this is my channel page, guys. Let me adjust the screen resolution. So this is my channel page. If you open my channel page link, you will see like this. From there you can subscribe as well. If you want to search regarding any of the videos on specific topic, you can use this particular search option, the magnifying glass icon. Alright, so we have already created a video on encrypted databases. So if I search on the word encrypted, you will see this video, how to create encrypted backups using certificates in SQL Server. Apart from searching for any particular videos using keywords over here on my channel page, you can go to my home page on the channel. And if you go towards the bottom, you will find all the playlists that we create for you. So these are some of our created playlists. We have created a playlist on database job profiles, Python programming workshop, transact SQL, SQL Server tables, integration services. We have a huge collection under the database design video library, and we have videos under the business continuity section as well. We have 51 videos as of now. This video also pertains to this category, which is SQL Server business continuity category. And apart from that, yeah, these are our major playlists under which we are making videos. So we will keep on adding playlists and videos as well. The page also shows you some of the popular videos that could be useful for you as per your taste. And yeah, this is my channel page link. Let's go back. So yeah, we were talking about the playlist. So the reason we create playlist for you is because we feel that playlist is the best mechanism to learn. For example, if you want to learn about the business continuity area, what you can do, you can go to this playlist. So you can view a full playlist through here. It will show you a full playlist for business SQL Server business continuity category. And what we would recommend is, if you want to learn about the SQL Server business continuity area, please watch out for all the videos from starting till the end. So if you want to get better clarity in business continuity area, what we would recommend, go through all the videos. And I've just shown you how you can view a playlist. So under each playlist, you will see a full playlist button. So if you want to view the playlist for database design, you can click on view playlist to open up the playlist. So I have just opened the database design playlist. It has around 113 videos at present, and it will show you all the videos. So if you want to improve in the database design area, which is the core requirement of most of the jobs these days, database design is one of the major requirements. So what we would recommend is go through each and every video in this particular area. It's gonna take some time, so you need to go slowly, at least 3 to 4 videos in a day to keep up with your preparations. So we have lots of videos under this category, and we will keep on adding videos under this category until we are done with this particular category. So this playlist contains lots of information to enhance your knowledge. Go through that playlist. Now let me come back to today's topic, which is, in this video we will provide you with the overview of what the encryption is, what are the encryption options for SQL Server backups. We will discuss about the details of the usage, benefits and recommended practices for encryption during the backups. Starting with SQL Server version 2014, if we talk about, SQL Server has the ability to encrypt the data. So prior to SQL Server version 2014, we were not able to encrypt the database backups, but starting with version 2014 of SQL Server, we can now encrypt the data while creating the backups. Now, by specifying the encryption algorithm and the encryptor, which is basically a certificate or an asymmetric key, when creating a backup, you can create an encrypted backup file. So two things are required. First of all, you need an encryption algorithm. So this is one of the important items. Let me highlight that. So you need an encryption algorithm and an encryptor, which is a certificate or a asymmetric key to create an encrypted backup file. Alright, and to encrypt during the backup process, you must specify an encryption algorithm and an encryptor to secure the encryption key. Alright, so encryptor is basically used to secure the encryption key, and encryptor is basically a certificate or an asymmetric key. And following all the supported encryption options, so if we talk about the encryption algorithms which are supported, so the supported encryption algorithms are AES-128, AES-192, AES-256 and triple DES. These 4 algorithms are supported. And for encryptor, we do support a certificate and an asymmetric key. Both can be used. Now there is a word of caution. It is very important to back up the certificate or the asymmetric key, and preferably to a different location than the backup file it was used to encrypt. So what this sentence is suggesting is basically, whatever certificate or asymmetric key that you have used to encrypt the backup, you should also take a backup of that certificate or asymmetric key and store it to an offsite location. So that is beneficial in the event of a disaster. Now, if we don't have a certificate or asymmetric key, we cannot restore the backup. So if we have an encrypted backup that is encrypted using a certificate or an asymmetric key, and in case we lose that certificate or asymmetric key, we will not be able to restore those backups which are encrypted using that particular certificate or asymmetric key, and which basically renders the backup file unusable. And certificates stored in the contained systems database should also be backed up. So if you are using some contained databases, we have made videos on that as well, so you can check them out. Most probably I have videos on contained databases, what they are, if you want to check out. So you can type the word contained over here. So yeah, we have videos on contained databases, so you can go through that. Contained databases in SQL Server and how to migrate to partially contained databases. These 2 are the main videos under that category. If you have certificates stored in the contained system database, those should also be backed up. So guys, yeah, it's important to back up the certificate and the asymmetric key to an offsite location. Let's move on to next topic, which is process to restore the encrypted backups. So basically here we are giving a broad gist of steps to be followed to restore the encrypted backup. What are the steps you need to follow? So in order to restore a backup, first of all, you should have an encrypted backup, right? how you can make an encrypted backup is, here we are talking about the process to restore the encrypted backups. If you already have an encrypted backup, how to restore, what are the series of steps involved. Now SQL Server restore doesn't require any encryption parameters to be specified during the restores. So we don't have to specify any encryption parameters while performing any restore. However, it does require that a certificate or an asymmetric key should be present on that particular instance where you are restoring the encrypted backup file. So it does require that the certificate or asymmetric key that is used to encrypt the backup file is available on the instance that you are restoring your encrypted backup to. Now the user account with which you are performing the restore must have a view definition permission on the certificate of that particular key. So this permission is required. This is essential. So the user account which is performing the restore should have a view definition permission on the certificate of the key. And if we are restoring an encrypted backup to a different instance, we must make sure that the certificate is available on that instance. So certificate on that instance is required on which you are restoring the database. Now here's the sequence to restore an encrypted database to new location. So for that we need to back up the certificate in the old database, and we need to create a master key in the new master database, and we need to create the certificate from the backup certificate of the old database imported to a location on the new server, and finally we need to restore the database to the new location. And guys, if we talk about taking backups and restoring it to the machines, is you can take backup on a lower version of SQL Server and restore it on a higher version of SQL Server. For example, you can take a backup on the SQL Server version 2019 and you will be able to successfully restore that backup on SQL Server version 2019 and beyond. However, if you take a backup on SQL Server 2022, for example, you cannot restore that backup on SQL Server version 2019. Alright, so that's one of the restrictions, guys. You cannot restore a backup taken with the higher version of SQL Server to a lower version of SQL Server. So first of all, in order to follow these 4 steps, which are the individual steps to perform the restore, so what we need to do is we need to create a database backup first. So let me show you steps to take a database backup, that to an encrypted backup. Alright, so we need to follow a series of steps. Let's invoke the instance of SQL Server, and I will show you first how you can create the encrypted backup. So you need a backup before you can restore the backups using this step. So let me take you through a demo. I've just invoked the SQL Server instance, so let's see when it opens up. So guys, SQL Server is up and running, and we have connected our default instance of SQL Server. So if we talk about this SQL Server, this is SQL Server version 2022. So we have another version of SQL Server running on this system, instance 2019. So let's check out the services. So we go to services. So guys, in order to perform this practically, you should have 2 versions of SQL Server, 2 instances of SQL Server installed on the same machine. So if you go to SQL Server, here you see that we have instance 2019 running, and also we have instance 2022 running, which is the default instance. Other than that, we have SQL Server 2019 running under instance 2019. Let's see if we can connect to the other instance from the same server. So this is SQL Server 2019 instance. The name of the instance is this. So it is giving me some certificate issues while connecting to that instance. So we are getting an error, basically getting a certificate error. So basically we need to check whether, here we see connection security over here. Let's do an optional connection security. Let's connect to the instance. We are now able to connect. So if you connect without the security option, it will not check for any certificates for that SQL Server while connecting to it. So I've set the encryption to optional. For 2019, I'm connecting it without the encryption check. So here we have some databases for which we can take backups. we have a database which is db move test, and let's see if we have some tables under that. We have a dbo test table, and let's select some rows from it to see if we have some data inside it. So yeah, we have some data. All right. So let's try to take the encrypted backup of this database. So the first step here would be, let me write that down. To create an encrypted backup, use the following steps. So first step would be to, let me mention that out. So first step would be to, so in order to create an encrypted backup, the first step you need to follow is to create a database master key. All right. Or which is also known as DMK, database master key. So let's go through this demo. Let me show you this demo how you can create a master key. So go to SQL Server and go to the instance where you want to take the backup. In that instance, you need to create the database master key first. So let's trigger a new query against this instance, and we will use the master database. So let's use the master database, and in order to create a master key, you need to write the statement create master key, and you need to specify you need the master key for encryption. And here we are encrypting by password instead of a certificate. So basically, when we create a master key, we encrypt it by a password, and we can specify a password over here. So in this case, we are keeping password as password, but yeah, for at your end, you can keep a tight password with tight guidelines or higher complexity. So we are creating master key, and we are using password as a password. Let's go ahead and create that. So it has created a master key. So this is the first step, guys. Create a master key. And let's go to the second step. So after creating a master key, what you need to do, the second step would be to create a backup certificate, which is the second step. So create a backup certificate. All right. So let's go ahead and create a backup certificate in the master database. So in order to create a backup certificate, you can write down the create certificate statement, and after create certificate, you can give the name to this cert. Let's say, let me give my cert as the name to this particular certificate. We can specify the subject as well. So the subject is basically to use specifically to indicate what is the purpose of the certificate. You can give some description, like this certificate will be used to encrypt the databases. All right, so let's create the certificate. This much definition would be sufficient. So I've created the certificate. Now we have a master key. Now we have a certificate with the name mycert. Let's take the actual backup of the database with the encryption, and we are taking a backup to disk. Let's take a backup of db move test database. So in order to create a backup, what you can do, you can use the backup database statement. You need to specify the name of the database for which you are taking the backup. So in our case, it is db move test, which is the database, and we are taking the backup of this database to a disk. And let's specify the location. Let me create C drive backups folder where we will take backup of this. So let me quickly create the location at my end. So on C drive, we already have a folder with the name backup, which is currently empty. If I show you this folder, guys, this is empty. We have created a folder backup on the C drive. All right, so let's take backup of on this particular folder. So let me mention the C drive backup as the folder where we want to take the backup, and specify the name of the backup file now. So the name of the backup file will be db move test.bak. I'm taking that as the backup file. After specifying the path to the backup file, you need to specify the parameters with what all options you want to take the backup. So we are taking a backup with a compression. So this is the topic for the previous video. Earlier we had discussed about the compression. So we are compressing the backup here by using the keyword compression. And we are also using the encryption to encrypt this backup. And for encryption, you need to specify certain parameters. So let's take brackets and specify the encryption parameters under those brackets. So for encryption, I'm using an algorithm. So earlier we talked that we need an algorithm and we need an encryptor, which is basically a certificate or the asymmetric key. So for algorithm, what I'm using is I am using a AES-256 algorithm to encrypt the database, and we are checking certificate. We need to specify the server certificate being used to encrypt the key. So let's mention the server certificate, and here we can specify the name of the certificate. We have just created a certificate with the name mycert. So let's copy out that name and specify it here. Mycert will be the certificate name. So after compression, you need to provide comma. So encryption is another option. So you need to separate two options with the comma. And this option is done. Specify a comma over here. And you can optionally specify the stats for the backup so that at every 10% of backup, it will show you the status while taking the backup. So yeah, this is basically the script to create the backup with the compression and with the encryption. And here we have used a cert, which we have just created. And we have also created a master key with the password as password. Alright, so let's create a backup. So execute this command. So it is saying that we cannot open so it is giving me access is denied. So I need to give permissions to the account under which we are running the SQL Server. The instance 2019 is running under this account, anti-service MS SQL Server instance 2019. Let me run this instance under my account only. Instead of local system accounts, let me use my account so that I should have permission. So I'm adding my account. I'm the system administrator of this account. So let me add a password for this account quickly. This is my Windows account that I'm using on the system. So apply it, and I need to restart the service. So let's quickly go ahead and restart the service here. Yeah, let's restart it. So yeah, SQL Server service is restarted, and yeah, now we should be able to check the backup. Let's try to execute this statement. So you see here, it has given me stats at every 10%. So it has taken the backup. And if we take a look at the folder, we have dbmove test backup, and this is a compressed backup with encryption. Algorithm uses AES 256, and it is encrypted using the server certificate mycert. Alright, so far we have created so after creating a backup certificate, you need to create an encrypted database backup. Alright, so guys, at this point we have these three steps covered, and we have created an encrypted database backup. And now let's cover the sequence to restore the encrypted database to a new location. So in our case, the machine is same, but there are two separate instances. So what we have done is we have taken the backup in instance 2019, and we will restore it to the instance SQL Server 2022 over here. We have a database with the name dbmove test copy. Let me drop that database quickly. Alright, so that database is dropped, and we have taken a backup of this database, which is encrypted, and we will try to restore that database backup over here. So let me close this, and I don't want to save it. Let's try to restore that database backup here, that encrypted one, using a normal procedure. Let's see whether we are able to restore it or not. I think we should not be able to, because we don't have the other steps followed, which is basically we need to follow these steps if we want to restore the backup to the other instance of SQL Server where we don't have certificates and all. We need to follow these steps. So I'm not following these steps. I'm just simply directly trying to restore the backup. So let's restore our database. I think we should not be able to if we try to restore the database. So mention device over here, give the location for that file. So that location is under the C drive. So you need to look at C drive over here. So under C drive, we have backups folder, and under the backup folder, I don't see anything. I don't see a file even. We have a backup file here, but it is not showing me that we have a backup file here with the back extension. Not sure why is the case here. Let me try to do star.star to see if it shows me up anything. So yeah, this is not the correct location. Let me disconnect from the SQL Server 2022 instance and try to restart the services. Also running under anti-service MS SQL Server, maybe it does not have rights to read the file from that folder. Let me change its SQL account as well to use the same SQL account I'm using for the other services, which is my account. Let me change the name and change the password. Not change the password, supply the password. So once I restart the service and connect to the SQL Server 2000 instance, I should be able to see that folder and the files as well under that folder. So I've just restarted the SQL Server instance 2022. Alright, let's go to SQL Server and connect to that instance. Now we should be able to, and here we can connect with encryption to the server. It is also giving me error. So let's take encryption as optional. So if we take strict, that also gives me an error. So let's keep encryption to optional. Alright, I have connected to a SQL Server instance 2022 and let's try to restore your backup, which is encrypted one over here. So right click on the databases and do a restore database and select a device over here, and let's slightly make this box bigger and select the devices file and add the location to that file. So the location is C drive backup. Now we can see we can see the db move test backup file over here. Let's select that file, click on OK. It has not shown me anything over here, so I cannot restore anything. Basically, this instance of SQL Server is not able to read that file even because this file is encrypted, right? So that's the reason we haven't got any information over here, right? So we need to follow those steps if we want to restore this encrypted backup. So the sequence to restore an encrypted backup to a new location is, first you need to backup the certificate in the old database. Alright guys, let me show you how you can backup the certificate in the old database. So we need to go to the old database. So let's go to SQL Server and connect to the old instance of SQL Server from where we have to take up the backup of the certificate that we had used to take backup earlier. So let's connect to it. We need to be in the master database, so we can trigger a new query against it, waiting for query to get opened. So once your query gets opened, you can write a statement first to select whatever certificates are there in your system catalog. So you can write select star from sys.certificates. This is a system catalog view that will show you any of the certificates created by you. Earlier we had created that cert, my cert, which is encrypted by the master key. Alright, so it's an encrypted certificate. And let me go ahead and show you the syntax to backup this certificate, so you can write along with me. So syntax is backup certificate, and you need to give the path to the file, and you need to first specify the name which certificate you are backing up. So you are backing up my cert, which is an encrypted certificate, and you're backing it up to the, you're taking the backup of this certificate into a file. So you need to provide a path to the file. So earlier we had shown you that we had taken the backup in the C drive backup folders. So if you take a look at backup folder, you see that we have a backup which is encrypted one, db move test.back. So I have created some more folders under backup. So one is for certificate and one is for keys. So certificate will be used to store the actual certificate that we are backing up, and key will be used to store the key file, which is a private key for this certificate. Now let me go ahead and show you how to back up the certificate, and for that you need to give the path to the file. It specifies the complete path including the name of the file in which the certificate is to be saved, and this path can be a local path or a UNC path to a network location. And if here we only specify a file name, if only file name is specified, the file will be saved in the instance default user data folder, which may or may not be the SQL Server data folder. Alright, so let's just specify the exact path. So it should be saved under C drive backup, and certificates is the directory where I want to save the certificate, and I can save it with the name mycert. No need to give any extension. So this is the first argument, which is to file. You can specify the exact path where certificate has to be stored, and after that you can specify another option. So this is essential, which the option I'm specifying. So specify with private key. So you need to specify the with private key option. So here we have with options. So you can take these commands up till this much. You can take it in the first line, and now we are starting with the with options. I'm specifying an option with private key. So let's specify that with private key. Here we what we are doing here is we are trying to export the private key along with this certificate. So until and unless we export the private key, we won't be able to decrypt any of the backups taken. So private key is used for basically for decryption purpose, whereas public key can be used for encrypting the data. So, but in our case, we have already encrypted that backup and we want to decrypt it at the another instance level, which is server 2022 of SQL Server. So that's why I'm exporting the private key along with the certificate as well from instance 2019. Alright. So here we are using instance 2019. I'm trying to export the certificate into this file, and I'm also trying to export the private key. So with private key option, if we take a look into this option specifies that the private key of the certificate is to be saved to a file. And although this clause is optional, but here it is essential for us because we want to decrypt that particular backup. So let's give the path for this file. So let's take the path as I'm taking the backup into the keys folder. Let me specify the path. So you need to use the file parameter to indicate the file path, right? So specify path within the single quotes. Give the name of the file. Let me specify it as mycert private key, pv key. Let's take this as this file name. And along with that, you need to specify another option. Here you are exporting the private key, so you need to encrypt it as well. So for that, you need to specify the option encrypt by password. So we are encrypting this key by password. Private key we are encrypting, whatever we are exporting. So we can give the encryption password over here, and I'm taking password as the password here, but you should be using some strong combination of password or some complex password. You should not be using password as a password. Here just for demonstration purpose, I'm taking the password as password. So this is the step 1, which is how to back up the certificate in the old database. So here we are backing up the certificate using the private key as well. I'm exporting the private key as well while exporting the certificate. So let's do that. Let's export. So the syntax is a little bit incorrect. So here you need to use the encryption keyword. So encryption by password, and let's execute the statement. So your cert is exported to this folder and your private key is exported to this folder. Let's open and check it out. So if we take a look at the certificates folder, we have mycert, which is just a plain simple certificate. And this certificate includes the public key, not the private key. And if you want to take a look at private key, it is exported in the keys section. So this is the private key, which is already encrypted. This file is encrypted with a password. We are done with step 1, which was to back up the certificate in the old database. Now what we have to do is we have to create a master key in the new location master database. So new location is SQL Server 2022. So let me take you there. So here our work is done. So I can close it over here. And let's close it from here as well. And let's try to connect to the SQL Server 2022 instance. Here we have to trigger a query against the master database. So the second step is to create a master key. And we had shown you steps to create the master key, but let me show you that again. So in order to create a master key, what you need to do, you need to write the create master key statement. So type create master key is the statement you need to use. And along with that, you need to specify how the encryption has to be done for this master key. So we are encrypting the master key with the password, and we should be using a strong password, but here I'm just using password as password. But you should be using some complex password over here, guys. And let me execute this statement. So before I execute this statement, let me try to run a command quickly. So if I query a system catalog, so if I do select star from, there's a system catalog sys.symmetric keys. You can check out that for any of the symmetric keys present on this system. So right now we see that we only have service master key over here and not a database master key over here. But if we execute this first statement, create master key encryption by password, we will also have a database master key. So let's create a database master key. Now if we run this statement, we will see we have a database master key. All right. So we are done with the second step, guys, where we have created a master key in the new location, which is the master database, right? And yeah, we have created it under the master database. So this is the symmetric key for that master database. And let's move on to third step, where we will create a certificate from the backup certificate of the old database. Guys, we have taken a backup of the certificate over here in the certificate folder. And using this backup and the private key, what we will do, we will create a new certificate in SQL Server 2022. And we will create this certificate from backup certificate of the old database and import it to a location on the new server. So here we are using one and the same server, but we have two separate instances. So we already have a copy of the certificate that was exported from SQL Server version 2019. Let's go through the third step, where we will create a certificate from this file, which we have backed up from SQL Server 2019. So in order to create that certificate, you need to type in the following codes. So you can type that code along with me. So here we have a code. Let's write that. So you need to write a create certificate statement. So here we are creating a certificate. And here we can give the name to this certificate. You can choose any name, but let's keep it mycert for now. And we are creating this certificate from a file. So we need to specify the file from which we are importing the certificate. So you need to provide the name of the certificate file. So name and location. So the name and location is, ideally we should save the certificate files with .cer extension. Here I simply have used the file name but not the extension, but ideally you should save the certificate file with .cer extensions. Alright, so let me provide in that path, and after path, what's the name of the certificate file? It's mycert, so you need to specify the name of that file, so it's mycert. This part is done, and we also want to import the private key, right? So we need to specify with private key clause here, because we also want to import the with private key. We also want to import the private key over here, and we need to specify the path of the private key over here with the file clause. So provide the path to the private key. And again, guys, I'm telling you that you need to save the keys or private keys with the extension pvk. Here we haven't used any extension for exporting the file, but ideally you should use the pvk file to indicate it's a private key. So let's take this path and provide the name of this file as mycert pvkey. So let's paste in here, and mycert pvkey is the private key file name. So this part is done. So in our earlier attempt, we had encrypted that private key with the password. So here we have to do a decryption by password. So let's specify decryption by password. Make sure your spelling are correct. Specify decryption by password. And you need to specify the password to decrypt this private key. After this statement, you need to provide comma as well. So here we are using decryption by password. You need to provide the same password which you had used earlier to encrypt this private key. So you need to provide the same password over here. So earlier we had used password as the password. So let's do that. And Let me try to use a different password to see if it works. Let's execute this statement. It's saying some syntax is correct. So here we don't have to close the bracket, and bracket has to be closed after this statement. All right, so these two are a single statement, so that's why only there are certain arguments separated by commas. So let's try to execute that. So here we are creating a certificate, and we are importing that certificate from a file, and we are giving the path to the private key as well, private key file, and we are specifying decryption by password. But here I'm trying to use a separate password which I have not used to encrypt the private key. Let's see if we are able to create that certificate. So it is saying that private key password is invalid because I have used the incorrect password. So you need to make sure that you are using correct password to decrypt the private key. Otherwise you won't be able to create this certificate. I have corrected the password. What I will do, I will create this certificate. So right now it is saying that this certificate asymmetric key or the private key file is not valid or either does not exist. So guys, I've checked and found the reason I'm getting the error message over here is because my certificate location is not correct. So it's under the certificates folder which I had not mentioned. So you need to mention the correct location. So be sure regarding that. Otherwise it's gonna take your time. So let's provide the certificates location, and under that we have my cert, and I see that the keys location is correct and keys password is correct. So let me go ahead and create the certificate quickly. It should run fine now. So we are able to create the certificate which we can view under the sys.certificate system catalog view. We see that we have a my cert which is again encrypted by the master key. The only issue was that my path to the certificate was not correct. That's why we were getting the error messages. Alright, so this step is done guys, and so this was the third step. So we are done till third step. Fourth step is to restore the database to a new location. So earlier we had seen we were not able to read that encrypted database. Now we have a certificate imported into our new location, right? We can query that using the sys certificate catalog view. We have a my cert imported into our database, and with the help of this certificate we will be able to decrypt that encrypted database. So let's try to do a restore operation. So right click on the databases, you will get the restore database option. So select that option, expand that box, and in that box select device, click on the three dots over here, select file, click on add, and go to the location where you have your encrypted database backup. So it's under the backup folder. So we have db move test.back, and once we hit OK, we should be able to read this database backup file. Earlier we were not able to. So I've selected that file, click on OK. Now we can see we are able to read the contents of that file. So it is showing that we had taken a full backup, right? So we can restore this backup over here. So click on OK to restore this backup. So it is saying that restore of database dmove test fail. It is not allowing us to restore. So it is saying the operating system returned the error 32. The process cannot access the file because it is being used by another process. Maybe let's try to restore the database again. So let's restore. Select the database backup file which we had selected earlier. So it's under the C drive backup folder. Select dmove test.backup file. Click OK. We have database backup details over here. Let's click on OK to restore that database, and it will show us the files. The reason it was giving us error because we already have files at the same location. So usually we do a backup and restore on different machines, but here we are testing it on the same machine. So let me restore the backup files to a different location because we cannot use the same location for the restoration purpose. So let me create a folder here. Maybe C drive data should be the folder, and let's use this folder, C drive data, and we will store our files here. So we can change the location over here. So let's just change it to C drive data this, and C drive data this. Now we should be able to restore the files because now the locations are different, not the same location as the original file name location. The problem here is we are just using a single machine and we are not moving it to a different machine. Otherwise, if we had moved it to a different machine, then it would be able to restore those backups under the same location as well. But yeah, if we are restoring it on the same machine, we need to use the different location during the restore. And let's try to restore. The restore should run fine now. So guys, we are able to restore the database dmove test. However, the data files are being used here in the C drive data folder. We have data files for this database, and yeah, if we see, we have dbmove test over here, and it was having a table. So we can query that table as well to see if it has that data which we checked earlier. Yeah, it has the data. So we are successfully able to restore the encrypted database into a different instance of SQL Server altogether. But in certain situations, you can use different machines altogether. So the procedure is almost the same. We are done here with the restore of the encrypted database. Now, there is some theory. Let me go through that quickly. It is saying that if you are restoring it from a TD encrypted database, we can also encrypt the databases using the TD encryption or transparent data encryption. That's a separate process. We will discuss that separately in a separate video. So here we are talking that if you are restoring from a TD encrypted database, so which is a different kind of encryption, the TD certificate should be available on the instance you are restoring it to. So for TD encrypted database, we have separate certificate, which is called the TD certificate. And that certificate should be available on the remote instance wherever you are restoring your database. Now let's talk about some of the benefits of using the encryption process. So below are the benefits for using the encryption during backup and restore process. So first of all, encrypting the database backups helps us in securing the data. SQL Server provides the option to encrypt the backup data while creating the backup. Alright. So basically one of the uses of encryption is to secure the data which we have inside the database. And second benefit is encryption can also be used for databases that are encrypted using the TDE. So sometimes we encrypt databases using the transparent data encryption. So encryption can be used there as well. And encryption supports algorithms up to AES 256-bit. So if we talk about the encryption process, that supports algorithm up to AES 256-bit, and this gives us the option to select an algorithm that aligns with our requirements. And we can also integrate the encryption keys with extensible key management providers as well. We will talk about that later. Now let's talk about the prerequisites. So we have already done with the prerequisites. We had created the master key in the new location, so that is done. And we had also created a certificate in the remote location. Now let's discuss about some of the restrictions here. Following all the restrictions applicable to the encryption options. If you are using a asymmetric key to encrypt the backup data, in our case we have used the symmetric key, right? Not the asymmetric key. We have used certificate as well, if you remember. So we have used certificates in place of asymmetric key, but in case if we are using the asymmetric key to encrypt the backup data, only asymmetric key residing in the EKM provider are supported. So EKM provider is encrypted key management provider, so it basically stores the asymmetric keys. So only asymmetric keys residing in those EKM provider stores are supported. Now, if we talk about the SQL Server Express and SQL Server Web Edition, they do not support the encryption during the backup process. So they cannot encrypt the databases. If we talk about the SQL Server Express Edition and SQL Server Web Edition, they do not encrypt the databases. But if we talk about restoration from an encrypted backup, they do support it. So if we talk about restoring from an encrypted backup to an instance of SQL Server Express or SQL Server Web, so restoring is supported, but we cannot encrypt the database using the SQL Server Express and SQL Server Web Edition. Now, access to a TDE certificate is not required to backup or restore our TDE protected databases. So whenever we are trying to back up a database that is TDE protected. We do not need access to the TDE certificate to basically backup or restore a TDE protected database. So that is basically transparent data encryption we will talk about later. Let's now discuss about some of the recommended practices for encrypted database backups and restores. So let's discuss on that. So create a backup of the encryption certificate. So whatever encryption certificate that we have created on our database, we should take a backup of that. In this case, we had taken the backup of encryption certificate. This one is the encryption certificate along with the private key. So ideally, we should not be storing this data at the same location where the backup was created. So we should store this backup keys and the certificates to some remote location or offsite location. That is the recommended practice. So always create a backup of your encryption certificate and keys to a location other than your local machine where the instance is installed. So this is a good practice. The account for disaster recovery scenarios. Okay, to account for disaster recovery scenarios, consider storing a backup of the certificate or key to an offsite location. So that's what we were discussing, that we should store this certificate and keys at some offsite location, not on the same machine where we had taken the backup. We should not be storing the certificate and private keys on the same machine. This should be stored somewhere offsite. Now you cannot restore an encrypted backup without the certificate used to encrypt the backup. So restoration is not possible in case we lose our certificate and the private keys. We will not be able to restore the encrypted database backup. Now to restore an encrypted backup, the original certificate used when the backup was taken with the matching thumbprint should be available on the instance you are restoring it to. So guys, that's the reason we have taken the backup of that certificate that is there in the instance 2019 of SQL Server. We had taken the backup. So this is what it is saying. Basically, to do a restoration, we should have matching certificates in the source and the destination machines. All right. So to restore an encrypted backup, the original certificate used when the backup was taken with the matching thumbprint should be available on the instance you are restoring it. Now, therefore, the certificate shouldn't be renewed on expiry or changed in any way. So whatever certificate we have used for taking the backups, we shouldn't have updated that certificate, right? Or that certificate should not be changed in any way in case it was about to get expired. Sometimes we renew the certificate. So that certificate should not be. Let's see if we have a expiry for this certificate, something like that. Let's see. So yeah, it carries an expiry date, right? So 9/8/2025 is showing as the expiry date. So here the expiry date and the start date is same for the certificate, right? So the certificate is already expired, right? Because it's an expired certificate, though it is imported in the system, but it's an expired certificate. No, it's not an expired certificate, guys, because it gives 1 year of validity. By default, it creates a 1 year validity certificate. So this certificate will get expired on 2025, right? On the source system as well, right? So once the certificate gets expired, we generally renew that certificate, right? So it is talking in that regard. So it is basically saying that you shouldn't be renewing the certificate on expiry, or you should not be changing the certificate in any way, right? We shouldn't be renewing it on expiry, or we shouldn't be changing that source certificate, because if we renew that certificate, that can result in updating the certificate, triggering the change of the thumbprint, therefore making the certificate invalid for the backup file. All right, so in case we renew the certificate, so for example, at the destination location, if the certificate is about to get expired on 9/8/2025 and we are on the same date 9/8/2025, and if we are trying to renew this certificate, so renewing process will basically change the thumbprint of the certificate, right? So here we have a thumbprint column. So if we renew a particular certificate, the process changes the thumbprint of that certificate. So if the thumbprint gets changed, we will not be able to restore the backup, which is encrypted. So here we were talking about the renewal. If we renew any certificate, it will update the certificate, triggering the change of the thumbprint, therefore making the certificate invalid for the backup file. Alright. So at the destination location, if we change the certificate in any way, maybe by the way of renewal or by any other means, we will not be able to restore the backup. Thumbprint should be matching at the source and the destination location in case we have to back up and do a restore of the encrypted database. Now the account performing the restore should have a view definition permission on the certificate or the asymmetric key. So this can be provided. In our case, we have used the same account that is used for backup, and also for restore we have used the same account. Otherwise, if we are by chance trying to use a different account for restoration purpose, then that new account should have a view definition permission on the certificate. So we can provide a permission for a certificate to a different account as well at the source location. So once an account has the view definition permission on certificate, so after this permission is provided, you can then again export the certificate if you, in case you are using a different account, right? Just remember this, guys. The account performing the restore, if it's a separate account, should have a view definition permission on the certificate or the asymmetric key used to encrypt during the backup. So permissions must be provided at the source end before that certificate and private key gets exported. Now if we talk about the availability group database backups, these are typically performed on preferred backup replica. So under the availability group, we have database residing on multiple nodes. So we have a single primary node and a series of secondary nodes as well. So here we are talking, if we want to take backups, if we are using availability groups, those backups should be taken on the preferred backup replica, and we are restoring a backup on the replica other than where the backup was taken from. Ensure that the original certificate used for backup is available on the replica that you are restoring to. So that is fine. Now for database is TD enabled. So guys, we will shortly create videos on the transparent data encryption. So far we have not covered transparent data encryption, so you should stay in tune. So if your database is TD enabled or transparent data encryption enabled, we chose different certificates or asymmetric keys for encrypting the database and the backup to increase the security. So we will talk about later, and if you want us to create videos on transparent data encryption, do post in your comments, guys. So once we get your comments, we will post in videos on transparent data encryption. Alright. So guys, we are done with this video. In this video, we have discussed generally about the backup encryption process. We have talked about the encryption algorithms and encryptor that are essential for creating an encrypted backup, and we have talked about the process to restore the encrypted backup. Alright, and we have shown you how you can create an encrypted backup using these three-step process, and how you can restore the backup, that encrypted backup, to the target location with the series of these 4 steps. We have talked a little bit on the transparent data encryption as well, and we have shown you benefits of encrypting the database, and we have talked about the prerequisites for creating the encrypted database, and we have talked about some of the restrictions that are applicable while performing the database backup process or encrypting the database backup. What all restrictions are applicable at that time, we have discussed on that. And lastly, we have discussed about the recommended practices in the field of taking encrypted backups and performing any restores. So guys, I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please hit on the like button below this video. And once you hit the like button, there is a subscribe button just near to it. Click on the subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding my upcoming and future videos. And also you will receive notifications regarding the videos I'm creating on business continuity series during these days. That is a very essential series you should be going through. We have a playlist for it, so you can check out the playlist for business continuity, SQL Server business continuity playlist. And we would recommend watching out all the videos from starting till the end to gain better clarity in that area. So guys, thank you so much, and do post any comments, feedback and suggestions, any requirements, etc. And also guys, if you have good network of friends, please ask them to subscribe to our channel. And also you can share my videos with them using the share button below that come below each and every video. Use that share button to share my videos with your friends over any of the social media platforms. So guys, I thank you so much for your time on this video today, and you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.